Hey, what is up, everybody, and welcome to the Get Your Bell Rung Football Podcast. He is Kevin Reynolds. I am Bobby Wall, and we are here to talk all things football and hit you with some takes that might rattle you up a bit. On tonight's show, we have a conglomerate of things, lots of different things to talk about. Considering it is the off season, Kevin, I've missed you. It's been like 2 weeks. Your schedule has been crazy. How you doing, my friend?
Doing well, a little tired, but happy about it because we finally have good weather. I can make some money. We're out on the courts. Counties, regionals over. States start tomorrow. I think, at least 6 kids that I work with that have made states, and then there's a few others from our county that are there. Should be an interesting weekend, my friend. Plus Memorial Day.
Well, I wish you and your children the best.
Yes, and you know one of them because you used to teach with her mom.
Yes, and she is incredible. We probably don't need to share her name, but she is, I mean, she has a chance to win a state championship
It's
in
the number one
tennis,
seed.
number one seed, and this is her number two sport. She just plays tennis for fun because she's going to play D1 soccer in college next year. Very impressive to be that good at so many things.
And we don't mind saying where. She's going to the Naval Academy.
Right.
And as a freshman, she is expected, at least as of now, to be their starting fullback as a freshman.
Very impressive.
She's a beast.
Yeah. So this past weekend was supposed to be the second annual Dad Games Championship. However, that's something that I host. It was uh, postponed due to rain. Um, Unfortunately, we'll have to do it sometime later in the year.
You didn't
However,
have an alternate indoor schedule like field day?
um, so that would have been nice to have a facility. You know what? Maybe next year I will consider an indoor facility. I'll see if I can line something up. But what dad games is, you get a bunch of dads together and have a good time, and you do different games like yard games, cornhole, um, putter ball, all kinds of different
Charts?
stuff. That no, but you know what? It can always be added.
Yeah.
But it got me thinking about yard games, table games, ping pong, pool, anything you do for fun with your buds. And I know we always do a top three with our episodes. What are your top three? It could be yard games, table games, anything.
Like things I like to do with my friends?
Yeah, but not like, I mean, everything's competitive with us, but not like sports games.
Well, the
You can,
main one would be poker.
okay. You know what? I
Is
didn't even
that,
think about
is
that,
we,
but
are we
that, yeah,
counting
yeah,
that?
sure, yeah, sure,
Yeah, we have poker here. I had, St. Patrick's Day,
yeah.
our big gambling thing, poker. We used to play a lot of putt-putt for a lot of money back in the day.
You played putt putt for money.
Yeah, I used to play with some of my buddies I worked with in Ocean City. One day I walked out with about $600. Matter of fact, one night, even in the bar, we must have had 20, 30 people around us watching it. Me and my buddy Horsey, we were playing Golden Tee golf. By the time it ended up the night, I won the last round for $700.
That is wild.
It was
I
awesome
would not.
stuff.
Okay.
He was
All right, you
not
got one
happy.
more, man. Unless
And
unless
then
you want to count Golden Tee.
Whitey, a couple years ago or last year, 2 years ago for his birthday party, I think it was last year, he did an outdoor games thing where everybody ran this little circuit of things. My favorite part of it was the axe throwing. I begged Corey to not
Uh,
make me doing it. This is where you and I come off as jackasses and conceited. People call us all this. I begged Corey, his wife, to not make me do it. And the reason why, and she knows why, and she knew why then, even though she was inebriated, was I knew that I would win before we even started. So she got so mad at me, she eventually cussed me out in front of everybody. So I did it. I walked real slow between everything, blah, blah, blah. So I end up tying somebody. And so then I have to have a tie off with this other. He got to pick an event. I got to pick an event. They picked an event. I was done before he was done the first event. So I won. And again, I wasn't patting myself on the back. I wanted everybody there to have a chance and have fun, but I was pressured into doing it. Whitey says, "Well, I beat you, if we really count, like, yeah, I walked. You ran as fast as you could."
I got a buddy down here in North Carolina, and he was like, "Hey, I had mentioned dad games. We should do something like it." And honestly, I wasn't really serious, but us being dads, he got super excited and went out, did all this stuff, and was like, "We got to do it. We got to do it. We got to do it." Okay, if you really want to do it, I will hold. Like I'll host it. And here's my championship belt, my friends. I mean, oh,
Uh,
it's. I know we try to tell them, but
It was
nobody listens.
funny. Dude, this is a story with Whitey and Corey from 25 years ago. We were at our buddy Fat Mickey's and we're throwing horseshoes. And I had not thrown horseshoes much and I wasn't very good. I overhear Corey tell the others, "This is awesome. Finally, somebody doesn't kill everybody at. Somebody he sucks at." So, dude, what do you think I did for the next 2 weeks? I was at Fat Mickey's every day practicing horseshoes. 2 weeks later, we play again, and it's just ringer, 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 ringer. And she's just,
Oh,
because she knew at that point that I heard it was awesome.
so Can Jam is my favorite. Have you ever played Can
Mine's
Jam?
axe throwing. I love axe throwing. But
Have you
yeah,
done Can?
can jam is fun.
It's got the frisbee like with
Yeah,
the little plastic circle
the
thing.
hole, the slit.
There's just a little bit of athleticism involved, so I enjoy that. Um, Cornhole's probably number three. My number two is a game that my fraternity always did called Urban Horseshoes. It was a 2 foot by 2 foot box with 2x4s making the edge with one of the there's big coffee cans in the middle, and you toss these big washers, and it was the same distance I think as cornhole. Just something unique. I've never played exactly that game anywhere else, but I enjoy it.
Cool.
If it's okay with you, we're going to move on to football.
No, 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 not yet. So there's
Oh my
another really cool
gosh.
one that we used to do, me and Whiting and whatever of our friends join in. It is mini basketball into a laundry basket golf. You play it all over the freaking neighborhood.
Wait, with golf clubs or it's like actual
No,
basketball?
no, you throw it. You can kick it. You can throw it everyone. You have a mini basketball, and in the bottom of a laundry basket, you put just something a little bit soft so they don't just bounce in and out. And then you put the basket in one spot, maybe back by the house, back by some trees, maybe down the road. And then you all go to a tee box because each person makes a hole at a time.
Okay,
And you roll it,
gotcha.
throw it, whatever you can, and play golf. It is actually quite intense because there's a million different ways to do things depending with how the whole situation. It's quite enjoyable. It's sort of like they have like soccer, golf, all
I'm
that
in for
stuff.
that.
Except we
Okay.
just threw mini basketballs into a laundry basket.
All right. A couple weeks ago, because it's been a while for us, I was listening to Move the Sticks podcast. That's the one with Daniel Jeremiah and Bucky Brooks. Love that one. And I learned some things that I didn't know. So Jaden Daniels, he went to Arizona State University, is where he started. And from talking to the coaches and stuff, not me, but them, it didn't seem like they really cared that he left, which, interesting. He goes to LSU, has a decent year, then wins the Heisman. When he went to LSU, he changed his whole outlook on everything. He started getting to the facility at 5 a.m. Well, he did that by himself, but then the receivers start showing up at 5 a.m. too. And I love Jane Daniels. He's my QB1. So that's love, love, love that. Here's something that I haven't heard about anyone else doing. And, maybe they do it. Maybe it's popular. This is just something that I heard for the first time. Jane Daniels would use virtual reality goggles to simulate playing in every stadium that they went to. So let's say they were playing Georgia. He would put on these VR goggles and be on Georgia's field with the crowd and everything so that he could see where the game clock was. He could see where the play clock was. And he would do that with every game they played. And that is astounding to me. First off, the technology that we have to be able to do that. But also, I mean, the wherewithal, and maybe that was a coaching thing, maybe it was on him, but that is very impressive. And I love that.
Yeah, I've never heard anybody doing it for that. I've heard of,
Right.
NFL guys, especially defenses, will play Madden against
Yep.
the teams just so they can learn their formations, all that jazz. But I've never Heard they were doing it for the ambiance of a certain stadium.
Yeah, I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
Very, very
Yeah,
intelligent.
because there's
That's
a lot
next
of
level
game
stuff.
mismanagement in the NFL, so that certainly doesn't hurt.
True, true. All right. Um, again, been a few weeks, so I'm going to go back to the draft just a little bit because I got to tell you, my friend, I hate some quote analysts that are out there.
I hate most of them.
Listen, if you and I say something that's outrageous or we contradict ourselves, we call each other out, right? And I appreciate that because that's how it should happen. Yahoo Sports has a guy named Charles McDonald. Okay. This is coming at you, Chuck. I was reading an article of his right after the draft, and one of his favorite picks was Ray Davis, running back that went to Buffalo. Okay. He says, and I quote, Davis is an older prospect, but man, he is the perfect player to pair with James Cook in the backfield. Davis is a punishing runner, doesn't fear contact, has some wiggle, blah, blah, blah. He should prove to be a valuable member of this offense. Then, in the same article, he writes his least favorite pick is my guy, Braden Fisk, defensive line from Florida State. And I quote, it's hard to project how many of these older prospects will fare in the NFL, but Fisk feels risky. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, of all the positions on the football field, running back is probably the one where age matters the most.
Yep.
And yet he loves Ray Davis, even though he's an older prospect. It's the perfect player to pair with James Cook. Yet Braden Fisk, it's hard to project where these older guys are how they're going to fare. It feels risky. Dude, that's irritating for me, my friend.
Yeah, they write all these things. They don't even remember what they wrote about somebody else, and then they just sound stupid. That's why I try not to pay attention to any of them. It's just they rarely make much sense.
His least favorite pick for the Denver Broncos was Bo Nix, quarterback. He said that Nix is an NFL quality quarterback without a doubt and probably the best option on the Broncos roster. But then he goes on to say how they shouldn't have picked him, blah, blah, blah. Did he not see what was happening in the draft? If they didn't take Nix there, they weren't going to get him. I mean,
No, he
these
would have went with the
teams,
next pick.
right? The the
The
Raiders would
Raiders
have
would have got
panicked
him.
and taken it. I mean, it was ravenous. There wasn't a chance. And the Broncos' next pick was 76.
Yeah.
You're telling me if they didn't take as you said it, Mr. What was his name? Charles McDonald, an NFL quality quarterback without a doubt, and the best option on the roster. If they'd have passed on, they'd have got him at 76. Come on, dude.
I agree. And we
What
both talked, though, that in a normal world, he was probably about the 60th or 70th best player in this draft. But in the world we live in, where it is the most singular position driven league in the world, where one guy means almost everything to your team, the value goes through the roof. So a guy that should have been drafted about 60th goes 12th.
name a sport with a position. Baseball,
There's no
not even
one
starting
position that
dude,
dictates the whole team like that. There's
in
just not.
any sport anywhere, right?
Look at Mike Trout, the best player in baseball for the last 10 years. I don't has it had they even made the playoffs more than once?
It's I mean, I'm digging deep too. I'm thinking volleyball,
No, not there's no one
nothing,
player
man.
because yeah, there's just even basketball.
All right, been a while since this happened, but Zay Jones was a free agent, finally signed with Arizona. What are your thoughts on that?
He's just a dude who's now in trouble and acting a fool and a decent like number three receiver on a team.
In 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 fantasy, I don't think it matters a whole lot, although well, no,
He
because
had
they
a
got Trey
couple good
McBride.
games, but most people when he has those good games, he's not even in your lineup. If you're in a 12-team league and you're starting Zay Jones weekly, you're probably in the freaking cellar.
Yeah, agreed. Now, in as far as real football goes, I think it's a great signing
It's not
because
horrible.
right, the only real receiver they have is a rookie, Marvin Harrison. I think he's easily the second best wide receiver they have. Now they have Trey McBride, so he's probably going to be, the third option there, if not fourth behind James Conner and the running back, combo with him and Trey Benson, however they want to, hash that out. But I'll be honest, it took a little while, and maybe he was, maybe it was him making the rounds. But I feel like just about every team in the league could have used him.
But isn't he in some sort of trouble? Didn't he do
I think it
something?
got dropped. He wouldn't have been signed if it was something serious that was going to go down. Who, in your opinion, would you say has the worst wide receiver core in football?
Hmm. Off the top of my head right now,
Yeah,
it's either the
it didn't have to
Chargers
be
or
off the top of your head.
Bills.
I had these show notes typed up 2 weeks ago.
Chargers or Bills?
I actually disagree. I think they're second and third worst, probably.
Okay, because
How
you
about?
just asked the top of my head. Who do you
Oh
have at
yeah,
one?
100%. But New England, Hendrick Bourne, Juju Smith-Schuster, Pop Douglas, and Jalen Pope. You
Yeah, I'll
telling
give it
me
to you. Yeah,
they
they're
could
worse.
use
Yeah,
Zay
they're worse.
Jones? You tell me they could use Zay Jones? He would be the wide receiver one on that team,
Yeah,
which
that.
is crazy.
How many? Who all's left still?
What do you mean?
I'm just looking to see what wide receiver free agents there still are.
Oh, that's a good question. I haven't looked at that list in a very long time. Not many.
Yeah, I think you're right. Best available wide receiver, free agent still. Michael Thomas, Hunter Renfro, Miko Hardman, Corey
Oh, I
Davis,
would love Renfro. Look,
Randall
listen, Devontae
Cobb.
Parker just retired for Philly. Let's get Renfro, a true slot receiver.
Yeah, you were all excited about Parker. You're saying finally your number three guy for Philly, and then he goes
I
and
wasn't
retires.
all excited. I thought it was a great dart throw.
You were excited because you finally had a number three receiver,
I
and
don't,
now
you're
he's
throwing
out
quotes up
before you
there,
even got a
and I'm not
chance.
sure that came out of my mouth. You can put those quote fingers in your pocket, sir. You stuff your quote fingers in a sack.
What are you, Costanza
A,
now?
a loose Seinfeld reference. Yes, a loose Seinfeld reference.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
awful. This whole thing. Julio
yeah.
Jones, your boy.
Oh, come on. No, he didn't he have two touchdowns in a game last year with Philly?
He did. I think he
Something
had
ridiculous.
like two
Three,
catches for like
three
13 yards, two
catches.
touchdowns.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. All right. So one thing we were talking about in a previous, probably the previous show was best wide receiver trios. And I did a little research. Okay. And I found a few. Obviously, this year we don't know what it's going to look like, but DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, and Roma Dunze, from a talent standpoint, seems pretty great,
Might be
to
the
be
best ever on paper.
I mean, come on. I got one for you. 2008. I know we talked about Larry Fitzgerald and Anquan Bolden as duos, but I'm going to give you a name that at the time was great that I bet you haven't heard since 2008. Steve Breston. Remember that fella?
Didn't he have like one out of nowhere year and then went back to anonymity?
2008.
Oh,
2008.
okay.
That's what I'm saying. Um, Cincinnati Bengals, obviously, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. I mean, we know that one.
But Boyd's going now.
Now he is. Now, I'm just saying in history, like
Oh,
just
gotcha.
yeah, specific years. Denver was probably like 2014-ish. I remember they had Demarius Thomas, Eric Decker, and if I'm not mistaken, Eric Decker had like a 1,400-yard season, something like that, and Emmanuel Sanders. Okay. Jacksonville back in the day, Jimmy Smith, Keenan McCardell, and a late career Andre Rison. Dude, I forgot that Andre Rison played for the
Yeah,
Jaguars.
but by the time he played for them, he was
Correct.
Andre Rison, so we can't really
Correct.
count that.
Correct.
I'm talking we need three guys that are like still in or
Now,
very close to their prime.
I brought this one up. Isaac Bruce, Torrey Holt, and I said Azahir Hakim.
I
And
said
you
Ricky
had said
Prohl.
Ricky Prohl. But if you look at, I went back and I can't remember if it was 99 or 2000 or '01, whatever year it was. Hakeem had more receptions or yards than Prohl did. However, if you take them out and actually use the quote receiver with the most yards there, we're talking Marshall Faulk. Isaac Bruce,
Oh
Torrey
yeah.
Holt, and Marshall Faulk. That's your winner, I
There's a
think.
reason they scored 51 points a game.
There's a reason, my friend, the greatest show on turf. Dude, how do you defend that? I mean, I
Teams
guess no
didn't.
one did.
They didn't.
Yeah, right. I guess no one did.
Because even when they lost, they were still throwing up 38 points. The defense would just, if I remember correctly, they had like the Super Bowl year, they had like the number 1 or 2 defense. The next year, they were like 30th in the league. Then the next year, when they lost the Patriots in the Super Bowl, they were back to like third or fourth on defense. I don't know what happened in that middle year. And then it all fell to pieces.
Dude, man, you got two. Torrey Holt's still not in the Hall of Fame, if I'm
Yeah,
correct,
so
right?
stupid.
It makes absolutely no sense. But Isaac Bruce is, Torrey Holt isn't, Marshall Faulk is. I mean, what? And obviously Kurt Warner is.
Yeah.
Was Orlando Pace? He was left tackle.
Yeah, he's in.
Holy Hall of Famers! I'd love to look at that whole lineup just to see how many Hall of Famers they have. My gosh,
Yeah, it was a heck of a team.
that is something. All right, this next part of our show here, I have been holding on to for so long. It's been very difficult because it was very eye-opening for me.
Okay.
I went on a deep dive. Something popped in my head, and I thought, you know what? Let's see what the wide receiver bust rate is over the last 5 years. Okay. So I looked at, for the last 5 drafts, receivers that were picked 1 through 20, 21 through 40, and then 41 through 60, just to get, rates of bust. And listen, this is me. This is my own personal view on what is rated a bust and what is not. But I'm going to go through each one quickly to see if you agree or not. Okay. We'll start with the 2022 draft. Last year's draft's a little too fresh. Okay. Drake London, Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, 1 through 20. I would say those are hits. Those are okay. I would say as of now, Jamison Williams, Jahan Dotson, and Traylon Burks are busts.
Wait, say that all three.
London, Wilson, Olave, good.
Yes.
Jamison Williams, Jahan Dotson, Traylon Burks, not what you wanted in a top 20 pick.
Williams, yes. Definitely a bust so far. Dotson's, I wouldn't call him a bust, but not lived up to what you
Borderline,
thought.
not what you wanted. Okay, let's
Traylon Burks might as well just go
obviously
play in the CFL.
not what you wanted.
Yeah.
21 through 40 that year, there was only one wide receiver, Christian Watson. I'd say minus injuries, you're good to go with him. 41 to 60, we have Wandale, John Mechie, Tyquan Thornton, your boy George Pickens, Alec Pearson, Sky Moore.
Oh,
Okay.
Sky Moore. God, what a waste.
All right. 2021.
Mechie, we got to give a break, though. He did have cancer. So,
yes. But as of right now,
yes, he's done nothing.
right. So 2021, Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle, Devonta Smith, Kadarius Toney. Toney obviously out of here. 21 through 40, you have Rashad Bateman and Elijah Moore. Unfortunately, I think you missed on both of those.
Yeah.
41 through 60 that year, Rondale Moore, Dwayne Eskridge, Tutu Atwell, and Terrace Marshall. Your
boy.
guy. Man,
he's
missed on all of them.
Nothing.
2020, Henry Ruggs, Jerry Jeudy, Miss CeeDee Lamb. In our 21 through 40, I don't want to say it. Jalen Rager, Justin Jefferson, Brandon Ayuk, T. Higgins, and Michael Pittman. What a year to be drafted 21 through 40, unless you're the worst human being ever.
Wow.
Then LaVisca Chenault, KJ Hamler, Chase Claypool, Van Jefferson, Denzel Mims. Okay.
Chenault and Claypool both had that very brief moment in the sun, and it just gone in a heartbeat. Who just signed Claypool? Was it Buffalo?
Dude, I think so, man. They have so many just deep threats on their roster.
Yeah, I think they just signed him.
2019, no top 20 receivers. Then you have Hollywood Brown, N'Keal Harry, Deebo Samuel. Then you have AJ Brown, Miko Hardman, JJ Arcega-Whiteside, another swing and miss from Philly, and Paris Campbell. 2018, this is the last year. Again, no top 20 wide receivers. Then you have DJ Moore, Calvin Ridley, Cortland Sutton, bang, bang, bang. Then you have Dante Pettis, Christian Kirk, okay, Anthony Miller, and James Washington. So, Kevin, I know that you are keeping track. That gives us in the top 20 picks, 1 through 20 of the last 5 years, that gives us 7 hits and 6 misses, 54 to 46%. We're talking 50-50, my friend. So this year, Marvin Harrison, Malik Neighbors, Rome Odunze. At least one of those dudes ain't making it, buddy, and maybe 2.
Maybe. I don't
Can I
know.
tell you who I think mine would be if I had to pick one?
Neighbors, just because he's playing
I
in New York.
think it's Malik Neighbors.
He's the only one that has no quarterback.
Here's the thing. Malik Neighbors won because of his unbelievable athleticism and speed. He just smoked dudes. Marvin Harrison won for any and all reasons. He won because of his route running. He won because he's faster than folks. He won because he's got contested catches. Rome Odunze, not a great route runner. He's not smoking you down the field, but he's a contested catch guy. Dude, Malik's going to go up against better athletes. And I know he played in the SEC. He's going to go up against, and listen, LSU did a great job moving him around the formation in the slot, to the right, to the left, getting him away from top corners, which is very smart for LSU. Maybe it's just something I have against Malik Neighbors. I don't know. But
I just said he has to go play with Danny Dimes.
Yes, that's also a thing.
It's like the last 4 years that you go to the Giants for your career to end.
Oh, unless you're Darius Slayton, because then you're so good you can hold out of camp and OTAs.
Yeah. You're so awful, but so good on that team that, yes, you can still do that.
Right.
But even he has not exactly put up stellar numbers.
So that's 54% hit rate. Now we look at, and that kind of goes hand in hand with, what you think a first round pick's going to be, 50-50, right?
But these 3 guys were really special 3 guys.
I know.
When you add them up, when you put them up against some of these other guys from the past, you're like, these guys, though, really elevated the game.
We'll see. Dude, yeah. all of these 3 guys were drafted before CeeDee Lamb. And you're praying that they become CeeDee Lamb.
Oh, yeah. You
know what I mean?
Pickled pink if they become CeeDee Lamb. Arguably the best receiver in football right now.
Arguably. Now, so 54% hit rate in the top 20 picks if you're drafted there for a receiver. From 21 to 40, 71% hit rate. You only missed on 29%. That was very shocking to me when I went back and looked at these numbers. So those like end of the first round, very beginning of the second round receivers, they hit more than top 20 receivers. And that was shocking. So here's the names for those: Brian Thomas Jr., Xavier Worthy, Ricky Pearsall, Xavier Legette, Keon Coleman, Ladd McConkey, Jalen Polk. Listen, maybe 3/4 of those guys are going to make it. We're talking 4 or 5 of these guys might be worth it. That's hard for me to believe because I'm not a big BTJ guy, Xavier Worthy.
And so when I look through like the ones like all your guys in orange, there's one really thing that strikes me. Almost none of them got to play with a decent quarterback on a decent team. So part of this goes back to our thing. Of course, we talk all the time is you could be the greatest thing since sliced bread. If you go to trash and have no way to throw to you, you're on a 2-15 team, things aren't going to be good. You go to a team with a decent quarterback, you have a chance.
So that's interesting you say that. So let's look at these guys. Brian Thomas Jr. going to Trevor Lawrence. That's a good one.
That's a good one.
Xavier Worthy, Patrick Mahomes. There we go.
That's
Ricky
the best.
Pearsall with Brock Purdy, right? We're
Yes.
okay there.
Well, yeah.
Xavier Leggett with Bryce Young, we're not good. He goes on the other hand. I'm sorry. I know
Probably
he was
not good, right? As of right now,
probably
not good. Yes.
Keon Coleman with Josh Allen were good. Lad McConkey, and then Jalen Polk at Drake May. I don't know. What's
Another up in the
5-2? Maybe that's our five
So that's
guys, dude.
5 out of 7. So yeah, you're still looking at that's 5 times 14 is about 70%. It'd be a little over 70%, yeah.
So then we look at from 41 to 60, right? Just all now look, we missed one. Okay, there's a big one we missed, and it's DK Metcalf. He went 61 or 62, and I know he would move the numbers just a little bit, but not that much because the hit rate was 13%. The receivers that went 41 to 60, you only hit on 3 of them and you missed on 20. 87% missed. The only 3 you hit was Christian Kirk, AJ Brown, and in my opinion, George Pickens. Wandale, Mechie, Tyquan Thornton, Alec Pierce, Sky Moore, Rondale Moore, Dwayne. You missed on all of these guys. And can I tell you the most heartbreaking part of this whole thing? The
Jalen
only
Rager.
receiver, the only receiver from this year's draft that falls in those numbers is my guy AD
Yeah,
Mitchell.
he really dropped.
Come on, man. I need you to buck the trend, buddy.
Well, he'd be 1 out of 1. So it's either he's gonna be 0% or 100%.
Yes. Listen, but honestly, I thought that was pretty eye-opening for me. So I'll go back and do it all together. The number 1 through 20, 54% hit rate, 50-50. 21 to 40 was a 71% hit rate over the last 5 years. And then from 41 to 60 was only 13%.
I wish I could have seen Pickens with like a prime Big Ben. He'd have put up like
Oh
AB numbers. It'd just be sick.
my gosh, that'd have been awesome.
Ugh.
What do you think about that, man? I mean, that pops out at you too, right?
Yeah, I think you've done fine work here. I think part of the issue though with the 41 to 60s is they're drafted a lot of times, not necessarily expected to ever be a number 1 receiver. But when you look at these guys, this is like straight trash. These are like guys, some of them not even in the league anymore. And if they are,
Trash.
they're stressing over whether they're going to make it to the top 53 here in August.
You might as well be 50, or I'm sorry, 5th or 6th round picks.
Yeah, these guys are just have done nothing. And so many of these names have had like 1 or 2 games where it seems like, oh, maybe they're finally getting it, and then just right back down into the cellar again. Now that
Wandale
said, a couple of these
probably
I think fit sort of what they've done. Like Van Jefferson hasn't been bad.
just
Yeah, but that's it.
eh.
Drafted
This
41 to 60. I know that's still
second
second
round
round.
pick.
It's second round. But a lot of these others, like your Terrace Marshalls and Eskridge and Alec Pierce has had a couple good games. He seems to be hurt too much. Sky Moore's been total trash. I like that you took one of the Y's off his name because he doesn't deserve both of them. He's trash.
Yeah, it's come on. We
Um,
know how to spell it.
this is
Denzel Mims from Baylor, man. Like I had some high hopes for him. So
yeah, these
big, so
guys have just
strong,
done
so fast.
nothing.
Nah. Well, that's what happens when you don't want to work. JJ Arcega-Whiteside, I hated that pick when it happened.
Two of these guys are Broncos.
But Dante Pettis, man,
Mm,
what are we doing?
Yeah, it is what
I
it is.
thought
So
I
you're
actually
saying
I had high hopes in Anthony Miller. I thought he was going to be a little something,
so maybe a lot of these GMs know that when we take a second round receivers, it's as much of a crapshoot as taking a 6th round receiver.
unless it's the top 8 picks in the second round. Then it's big time.
Oh yeah, because that's up to 40.
Then you know, then you hit, man. Then you
Yeah,
know. Yeah.
because even there, Rashad Bateman's not. He's not been good, but not the worst ever. Elijah Moore barely ever plays. Jalen Rager, I think he had a special teams touchdown once.
So, nobody cares, Kevin. Nobody.
And then kill Harry. Wow.
Dude, for right?
But that's just what Belichick does. He have you watched the Tom Brady roast yet?
I've watched I got at least up to Nikki Glazier. I can't remember if I made it past her.
Oh,
She's the best.
she was the best one by far. But there was some funny stuff throughout. One of the Patriots players, because Belichick comes out and he gets roasted at the time too, actually
Right.
said something about how he was the last first. It's like from 20 years ago, the last first round draft pick you had that ever made a Pro Bowl.
Wait,
I
what?
don't remember which player it even was, but it was whoever it was. It was like what's the dude the awesome linebacker from USC who's there forever.
Teddy Bruschi.
No, different one.
Willie McGinnis? He didn't.
Yes, did he go
Did
to?
he go to USC?
I think he did.
Yeah.
I think
I don't know where Teddy Bruschi
he
went
was the
either.
one who
I'm
said. And
just
I haven't researched this to see if it's true, but I think he's the one that said it. That like he was the last first round pick he's had
oh,
that made the Pro Bowl.
gotcha. All right. So now that the draft dust has settled, who could be on the move? What teams have decided, you know what? I solved some problems here. We had a position of need. I took care of it. So now I'm going to ship out a player or two that I've had. Now, listen, I know that you don't read the show notes. So start thinking, and I'm gonna give you one. Okay.
So players
Miles
that I
Sanders.
think might get traded this summer
Because of the draft, right?
because they're
I'm
no
gonna give
longer
you
needed. Okay.
my first one is Miles Sanders. Carolina Panthers. The big problem is a $6 million contract. It makes it tricky. But look, we just saw Russell Wilson get traded away from the Broncos, and the Broncos are paying all of that thing. The Steelers are on the hook for like $1 million. So things can happen. It can be worked out if the Panthers really don't want Miles Sanders there. Dude, my man went from 259 carries, almost 1,300 yards, and 11 touchdowns in his last year as an Eagle to 129 carries, 432 yards, and one touchdown with the Panthers. He averaged 3.3 yards a carry. Before this
Yeah.
past season, his career yards a carry was over 5. The Panthers realized this isn't our guy. They drafted Jonathan Brooks in the second round. Chuba Hubbard's still on the roster, and he outplayed Miles Sanders, albeit not by much, but he did outplay him last year. And then you look at possible places. First off, you agree he could be on the move if the Panthers can make the money work, correct?
Yes, but my issue with him is what is his market? Who?
Right. Do you give up a pick swap? Like, I'll give you a 6th and you give me your 7th.
Uh,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
And you take
because
that contract
yeah,
just to get rid of him.
I, yeah, I don't even know what to say to all that.
One team I thought of was, and it's close by, so he wouldn't have to move very, very far. But how about the Jacksonville Jaguars? They have spoken forever about lightening the load for Travis Etienne. Um, Miles Sanders was drafted by the Doug Peterson regime in Philly. And look, Tank Bigsby, Auburn guy, not as not as good as they had hoped.
Yeah, that'd be a
So
good place for him to go. But again, how
um,
bad would anybody want? Like you'd really to trade a guy after a year like that when he wasn't really hurt. It's I don't know,
he was hurt.
maybe a little.
He was
I don't think he was very hurt. I don't remember hearing any huge injury news regarding Miles Sanders. He just sucked.
dude, he was not. What I'm saying is, if you don't really have to pay him, if you can pay him 1 million of his $6 million salary, and that allows you to extend the life of Travis Etienne, why would you not do it?
True. I'll
So
buy what you're selling. That's what I'm saying. They'd have to make it work that that Jacksonville felt as though they weren't giving up too much, and almost giving up anything would feel like you're giving up too much.
That's that's true. And listen, you know what?
I mean, the
Here
way
we
he
have
played last year, you can make the case he doesn't really even belong in the NFL right now.
he only did not play one game.
So I'm saying he wasn't. I don't remember
Yep.
any huge injury news. They were just an awful team. Couldn't move the ball. Worst offense maybe in the league, and it showed.
Dude, let me hit you with these game by game numbers. Week 1, we got 18 carries for 72 yards. You know what? Take it.
That's decent. That's 4 yards a carry.
Right. Exactly 4 yards a carry. Next week, 14 carries, 43 yards. Okay. You know, it's a tough game. Tough game. Play the Saints. Then we went 9 carries for 24 yards, but we got a touchdown.
Now we're under 3
Okay.
yards a carry.
Yeah, but we got a touchdown, Kevin.
Okay.
We also had a receiving touchdown, it looks like, maybe. No, we didn't. Just kidding. Then we got 13 carries for 19 yards against Minnesota. I'm not sure Minnesota had a full defensive squad. And then it's bad, man. It's bad. We got 2 carries for 0 yards. We got 2 carries for -5 yards in the game. 6 carries for 2 yards.
So,
Dude,
and
that's
you
against
think
Atlanta.
that the Jags are
Oh,
just going to be foaming at the mouth to bring this guy in?
no, I don't. But I had to come up with something. I had to come up with some spot for him to go. Good grief. ETN needs a
That's what I'm
breather
saying. Why would
between.
anybody want that?
Put
He-
put
Tank
Sanders.
Bigsby had to do it. He could have done worse than that. That you're saying, now let's bring this
He
guy in.
did.
Because Tank
But
had 2 carries for -10 yards.
that's right. I think that's what happened. This is a dire situation in Jacksonville, Kevin.
Now, if I had to pick a running back, somebody who I couldn't believe they did this, why don't the Steelers go out and get everything they can get for Najee Harris now instead of just getting a third round compensatory pick for him next year? You've
Well,
made it
okay.
very clear that you don't want him around after next year,
Yep. And
or
well,
this
I don't
year,
even,
that is.
and they might not get a third round because he might sign for not enough. Like
Right, to
whatever
make it
it,
even
it might even
lower.
be
Right.
less than that. That's a decent point, but they have Arthur Smith, and Arthur Smith is going to want to run that football.
He
He's
says
going to,
that, but Arthur Smith will still be there next year. So why wouldn't you give him his fifth year for it was only like 6.7 million. It's not a lot for a guy. And you look at the numbers. No, I saw a thing last week. His numbers versus like Eddie N's over the last 3 years. They're almost, yeah, I'm gonna still say it like that. They're almost identical, except Harris has scored more touchdowns, I believe. Maybe not, but I think I remember he did.
yeah,
Yet
but
Eddie N is like treated as a god down there. Up in Steelers land, Harris is treated like some bum.
yeah, but Harris has played 3 years. ETN's only played 2 because he was out the first year.
Yeah, but it was like averages and all. It wasn't just
Oh,
like
I
their
got you.
total
I got
yardage
you.
and all.
Um,
Like what they did per year. It's odd. So if you're going to lose him anyway, why not get something for him?
yeah, but you got Russell Wilson. You don't know what he's going to put out there. You can't just hand the ball off to Jalen Warren every
Well,
play.
maybe not. Maybe they bring somebody else in. I'm
And,
just
and
saying, he sounds like a guy who is persona non grata. So why not get
would you
something for him while you can?
would you trade Najee Harris for Miles Sanders?
Oh my God, no. Because we're talking about a guy who's actually productive. Maybe not
Yeah,
quite to the level they had expected with that high draft slot, but he's been productive. And I'm still not
Najee.
convinced
Yes,
that Justin Fields isn't going to be the starter.
Najee Harris has been very unassumingly productive. I mean, he's had
Yeah.
like what? Didn't he have 1,000 yards rushing all
So
3 years?
saying he's been good. He just hasn't been off the charts great by any stretch of the imagination, but he's not like he's been awful.
Do you think someone would give up a third pick or better for him?
A third pick or a third round pick.
I'm sorry. Yes, yes, third round pick. Yes.
Hmm. I would think there's got to be some teams in the league that would find that to be reasonable.
Maybe, but what we think is reasonable, we realized
What
with the
the
Justin
Yeah,
Fields and the Kenny Pickett that it's not.
what they should have done was went ahead and trade him before the thing came due, the choice came due for his 5th year, so that other team
That was
that would have
last
made
year.
him maybe more valuable because that other team might have wanted him to sign him for that 5th year.
Yeah, I hear you. That's an interesting one. I like that because that's thought provoking. We should revisit that.
I
I
like to
think.
provoke thoughts.
Yeah. I got another one for you.
Okay.
How about my Eagles, Darius Slay and or James Bradbury? Both of them. Really drafted Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. They also have a bunch of younger players, Khalil Ringo, Josh Jobe, Eli Ricks. And honestly, possible places could be anywhere because everybody always needs a corner. I don't think the market would be very high for either one of those
No.
guys.
Yeah,
But
I agree with you. There's always a good market for corners, just not a real good one for over the
oh,
hill, way past their prime corners. But they're
right.
great guys to fill in when younger guys get hurt. I think Philly'd be stupid to trade them both because there's no way both those new
Agreed.
corners will make it through unscathed for a whole season.
Agreed.
They
Mhm.
put in a guy that knows the system, knows the game, might not be stellar, but he's still better than some other bums coming off your freaking practice squad.
Good. I mean, that's 100%. That's my thought. And then, like I said,
Get something for one or the other. Put them both out there and say we'll get rid of whichever one we get the best offer for.
team wants to give me a fifth round pick for one of them, I'll probably ditch them for that. I didn't draft Mitchell and DeJean to sit on the bench, right?
Yeah.
They should be on the field. If not week one, certainly in the first half of the season.
Okay, so I got one then for you. So
Yes.
say Traylon Burks is really as amazing this year as they keep
Oh,
pretending he is,
come on,
right?
Taylor.
And now we have Calvin Ridley. What about D Hop? Because I think he would still garner some pretty good juice in return.
I don't know. I don't think you're getting more than a fourth round pick for him,
Really?
dude. How about I give you Darius Slay for Judd for Diop?
I don't think I could do that. D Hop still had some big games with nobody to throw to him.
Okay.
Well, he
I'm
did.
I'm going to bring up the Tennessee Titans defense right now because I just want to take a peek at the corners we got here
Okay.
just to be sure because I might be able to change your mind. I know the Colts. Remember, we couldn't name a corner they had.
We couldn't
I,
name much of anything they had.
true. No, you got a Woozy and you got Legarius Sneed. You probably don't want him.
Yeah, D
That
Hop
makes me
still had 1,000 yards on only 75 catches and 7 touchdowns with Will Levis throwing to him.
Will Levis. I know. I know.
So
That's
yeah, I'm
I
not
like it.
suggesting some first
I like
rounder,
it.
but I think they could get more than a
Yeah,
fourth
5 6.
rounder out of him, especially a
Hmm.
receiver needy team, especially an injury or two comes up.
Oh,
This guy's out there. I think some teams might say, you know what, he's still got a year or two left in him.
I don't want to say it out loud, but I'm gonna. Can you imagine him across the field from CD Lamb?
Be pretty crazy, wouldn't it?
Oh, I would hate that so much.
Yeah,
Man, I would hate it.
because
Gets him
then
back in
then
Texas. Oh,
then you can just put Brandon Cooks in the slot or ship Brandon Cooks off. Why wouldn't a team like Buffalo try to bring in D Hop? Why wouldn't a team like the Chargers bring in D Hop? Maybe not the Chargers because they're rebuilding. Why wouldn't Buffalo make a play at him?
that's a good call, man.
What could it hurt?
I wonder I wonder what the salary looks like for D Hop. You go ahead and bring that up. Get up spot rack. You bring that up, and I'll go to my next guy while you're doing that, okay? And you're gonna
Go
hate
for it.
this. You're gonna hate it, but it's Javonte Williams. And I don't think this will happen. I don't think they should do it. But as of right now, Denver has Samaje Perine and Jaleel McLaughlin, who looked really good when
In
he's on the
spot
field.
work last year, yeah.
Catching the ball, running the football, doesn't matter. He looks very explosive. And then they go and they draft big boy from Notre Dame, Audric Estime. He's going to, bruiser first and second downs. Williams, Javante had a serious injury 2 years ago. He came back way early. We didn't think he'd play right from the get go, and they put him in the preseason, if you remember that, which was wild. But I don't know, man. If Sean Payton doesn't think he's going to be the guy. Ship him out, man. You drafted. Payton didn't draft Javonte Williams,
It's true.
but he drafted Audric Estime.
I think
I think
that
he
if that
drafted Jaleel
injury didn't
McLaughlin, didn't
happen,
he?
we'd be talking about the guy who maybe the one guy in the league challenging McCaffrey for #1 running back. But the fact is, it did, and he's expendable now because he's not been the same since.
Listen, I said
Yep.
this name already, and I don't want to say it again. Dallas. And you, Dallas.
Oh, Dallas. Yeah, because they got nothing.
Can you imagine him on that team? And
I
what would
can
it
I can
what would it
imagine
take
him
to get an
from his
injured
rookie
running back?
year would be it'd be just sick.
Here's the deal. Javonte Williams in July gets traded to Dallas. Honestly, what would you give up for him? He was drafted in, I can't even remember,
This
the
is
second or
second
third
round,
round. Right. So they give
I
up a
believe.
fifth round pick for Javonte. Honestly, I bet that would do it. Can you imagine him on Dallas with CD Lamb, Dak Prescott? Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
it'd be nice.
It would be absolutely awful for me as an Eagles fan. I love it for fantasy. Good grief.
You hate the NFC East getting better and better.
You telling me you love Pittsburgh
Don't you
getting
want?
great?
I don't like it, but don't you want the challenge?
No. Oh, I want a clean sweep. I want
Yeah,
the
me
easiest
too.
division ever. I want
D
to
Hop's
roll into that
making
one seed.
D Hop's making 18.3 this year.
Ooh, that's tough, man. That's tough. But listen,
The
we
Dead's
again,
only 12.3 though.
again, Tennessee can take that if they want to get rid of it.
Of course they can. They're rebuilding. They're awful. They're gonna be one of the worst teams in the league.
They wouldn't be if they kept Mike Vrabel, but hey, what do we know?
Wasn't very smart.
All right, I got one more for you.
They're I mean,
And you've already heard this before, but Brandon Ayuk or Debo Samuel
huh? Yeah.
drafting a first round wide receiver is a big deal. There were a ton of rumors that one of them was going to be on the move before and during the draft. Given the compensation that teams have been getting for players, someone could have one of these guys for a lot cheaper than you think, probably. And there are a lot of a lot of wide receiver needy teams. We've talked about a few, right? The Chargers could use one of these guys. The Patriots could use one of these guys. The Steelers could use one of these guys. Oh boy. Can you imagine that?
I don't want
Russell
it.
Wilson, George Pickens. I don't want it.
Yeah, I really
I
wouldn't
don't
want that. But
want none of
that
that
was the
smoke.
big talk leading up to the
I don't want none of
draft
that
there.
smoke.
About a month before the draft was Ayuk getting
Oh,
to be with his twin Omar Epps up in
yeah.
Pittsburgh,
Mm, mm.
solving medical mysteries, jumping down the field, getting in Jacoby Jones' way.
Ah,
Whatever you got to do. I wouldn't like it.
of course you would. Why would you? Man, that would be whew, something. You got any others?
I can't take any off the top of my head, but I can't imagine how either one of those two are super happy with all those rumors and all that talk that they're excited to go into the building every day. Like, yeah, they're talking about trading me every other day, and it's awesome. I
Especially
love it.
Debo, because Debo's already done his uh diva stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Hard to imagine either one of them enjoy going into work every day now.
You know what they should do? Every single play, they should run out three wide receivers: Debo, Ayuk, and Pearsall. But half the plays, Debo lines up in the backfield. Maybe he stays. Maybe he motions out. Maybe Christian McCaffrey motions out and Debo stays in the backfield. People forget, was it 2, 3 years ago? Debo was the wide receiver 2 in fantasy because of his rushing,
Yeah, but then
right?
when he signed that new contract,
I know. But guess
Shanahan
what?
told him we won't do that to you much anymore, and all of us thought he was lying to him, but apparently he meant it.
Until they drafted another first round wide receiver. So now it gives you a little bit of listen. For the record, I don't think it's going to happen, but it gives you the flexibility for it to happen.
Yeah.
You can put Debo in the backfield now. Imagine how dynamic that backfield will be. Listen, many moons ago, I screamed from the mountaintops, put LaShawn McCoy and Aaron Sproles in the backfield at the same time, and then motion either one of them into the slot. Because what are you going to do then? Put
Yeah.
one to the right, one to the left every now and then, flip flop, doesn't matter. That would be so difficult to defend.
What about Boston Scott?
I am going to, if you were next to me, I would punch you in the face right on camera. You just see the fist come right in, leave my
Oh,
screen,
that's good
enter yours,
stuff.
punch you right in the face.
It's funny, all your talk about the 49ers offense, you didn't even mention George Kittle. How do you stop that
Right.
offense? And you got a guy
That's,
who I've seen in some rankings like top 6 in fantasy freaking quarterbacks.
dude,
What an
you know what?
offense.
Listen,
Shanahan just can't get out of his own way though to make it all work to win. Well, to win the Super Bowl, that is.
how? Because the thing is, the toppers, you got a good defense too.
Yeah. Can you imagine if you just traded Mahomes and Purdy? You put Purdy on the Chiefs right now, they win 9 games. You put Mahomes on the Niners, they go 16-1 and coast to the Super Bowl.
I'm not sure they lose a game, buddy.
They might
I think
not.
they I
With all
think they
those
get that
weapons
bottle of
and that defense.
that Cristal from Mercury
Yeah.
Morris that he's
The only
that
thing that would stop,
champagne.
yeah, he wouldn't be, yeah, he wouldn't
And I
be
hate
having
him.
any
I
Cristal.
hope he loses it. He's such a jerk.
The only thing getting in the way of that scenario would be Shanahanigans. He'd do something stupid in the Super Bowl that would end up costing him Speaking of stupid coaches, did you see that the Harbaughs are putting together a Harbaugh coaching academy?
I didn't.
Yeah, they're opening a Harbaugh coaching academy for up and coming football coaches of all levels, high school, college, pro, anything. And all I could think was you couldn't pay me or I wouldn't pay them a dime to go to that freaking school
Let me
just so I
save you
could be an
money. Let me
idiot.
save you some money. If you want to go to that coaching academy, listen up. Run the football and play good defense. And
Until you
but
get to the AFC Championship game.
but
Is
but
that what you
if you
put
make
that
it to
underneath in the
if you make
small
it to
print until the championship game?
if you make it to a big important game, do everything you haven't done before.
Pretend to be
Is that it?
Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, that's it, right? Nailed it.
6
There.
rushes. 6
Send me your checks.
rushes.
Send me your checks.
6.
All right. Last thing from me. I understand it's way too early for this nonsense, but I was listening to John Hanson on Sirius XM radio, and he was going over his, quarterback rankings where they are right now. And one stuck out to me. He said Jordan Love, he has ranked at 8 for this coming year. Listen, it's May. A lot could change. Jordan Love as his QB 8. He finished as QB 5 last year, believe it or not. So, do you think when it all gets said and done, do you think Jordan Love is going to be in your top 8?
I think he'll be very, 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 very close.
It's very okay. I don't know, and I don't know what my problem is. It's probably me. I'm probably going to be wrong. Right now, because I did my rankings already,
Okay.
all of them, running backs, quarterbacks, receivers, everybody. I have him at 11.
Why?
However, I will say the argument for me starts after 8. So you might be able to persuade me to get him at 9. So maybe it'll work out, but gosh, I just don't. It's hard for me to buy the Jordan love.
Why?
He's got a young receiver core. I know they're injury prone.
He did
He made
last
it
year too.
happen. He made it happen a year, right? There's definitely a sophomore slump that could have, and I understand he's not a normal sophomore. And I also have CJ Stroud at 5. but that's also factoring in the sophomore slump because he dominated last year as a rookie, a true rookie. He ended up at what was he? QB 11.
My league, he was 9.
No one had him there, right?
Oh, no way.
So I should probably be a little higher on Love. I should be a little lower on Shroud. But
I mean, I'm just looking at the top 11 from last year. Who in the hell do you have all ahead of him?
so as of right
Baker
now, again,
Mayfield?
it is no, stop it. It is
Well, he
May
finished
20.
8 last year,
Yeah, well, listen, I'm not
which is
buying
higher
that.
than you have Jordan going this year.
If I'm not buying Love at 8, I'm not buying Baker Mayfield at whatever nonsense you
I don't
just
know
said.
what you're buying.
Yeah, that makes two of us. So here's where I'm at right now. I'll give you my top 12. Ready?
Okay.
On May 22nd, June, July, I got at least 3 months to
You
fix
had to
this.
use your fingers to count that out?
I like to. What else am I going to use them for?
Okay.
Number one.
Moving on. Moving
Number
on.
one. Number one. A lot of people are worried about Saquon Barkley. I'm not. I think he'll take some rushing touchdowns. I think he opens things up. For Hurts, I have him as QB1. However, he may listen,
Homer.
listen, you should probably be quiet and listen to what I'm about to say. Because at worst, he'll be my QB2 because my QB1 might be my current QB2, which is Lamar Jackson.
Okay.
Listen, same deal. He gets a great running back. But again, I think it opens things up in the passing game and all that other good stuff. Josh Allen, your receiving core has been gutted. I understand you rushed for like 15 touchdowns last year. You're my QB3 right now.
He's got to be until he shows that he's not.
Right, right. And I think this is probably the year, but we'll see. Guess who my QB4 is? You are going to love this.
No way it's Jared Goff.
It's Anthony
Oh,
Richardson.
boy, I would love that.
Dude, and what do all those top four guys have in common? They rush
Yeah,
the
rushing yards
football.
and touchdowns are huge.
I know. I got Stroud at 5. He's probably going to end up dropping. At 6, I have Kyler Murray. He has shown that he can be a top 5 quarterback in the past. Guess what he has now? He's removed from a ACL injury, and he has a true wide receiver 1, Marvin Harrison Jr. Plus a running game that can take some pressure off.
And your boy Zay Jones, who you
Right?
think so highly about.
Why not? I got Mahomes at 7. Last year he finished at 8. Um, he they didn't do a whole lot to improve the receiving core. I'm not buying Xavier Worthy. By the way, Xavier Worthy, the guy who relies on his speed, already suffering from a hamstring injury, sitting out of some OTAs. In case you didn't catch that nugget. Joe Burrow at 8. Here's my roll of the dice. Jaden Daniels at 9. Let me tell you why. I just heard the other day on a podcast or somewhere, quarterbacks, rookie quarterbacks that have at least 5 rushes per game almost always end up as a fantasy QB1.
Okay.
He's going to get 5 rushes a game. So he's going to be up here somewhere. I'm not going to say he's going to be RG3, but he'll be up here somewhere. Put him at 9. I got Dak at 10, Jordan Love at 11, and Brock Purdy at 12.
Okay, I lied, by the way. Baker Mayfield actually ended up 7th in my league. I accidentally had week 18 included.
Fantasy Pros has Baker at 10 from last year. Stroud
Gotcha.
was 11. Sam Howell, you love Sam Howell, was QB 12 last year.
He was 15th in mine. He's so awful.
Good
He's
times.
terrible.
Backing up Geno Smith now, buddy.
So awful. So you named that, and I'm with you on a lot of that stuff, but I still think Jordan Love that far down.
And
I don't
listen,
know.
you're probably right. I got 3 months to fix it.
Nice. Found another use for your fingers. Count
Yeah,
them
right.
this way.
For those of
instead of
us
this
who
way.
aren't watching the video, throw my fingers out there, all
Wow.
3 of them.
Yeah, I haven't even remotely started doing any of that type stuff. It's way too early to be putting that
Yeah.
much thought into rankings.
every now and then, my 3-month-old, he decides to nap for 10, 20, 30 minutes, and it gives me some time to do a little typing while he's laying on my lap.
Oh, one thing I wanted to cover for that. Have you seen these things coming out about Justin Fields, about his whole thing, completely uncoachable, awful in the locker room, thinks he knows everything, but knows nothing? Have you seen these things coming out of Chicago that maybe there was more
Yeah.
than we were saying? Like, what do we not know about all this?
I heard it a while ago from Chicago.
Yeah.
I mean,
Your
I
boy
heard
Foles
both
tried to take him under his wing, and he just basically ignored him when he didn't even acknowledge that he was speaking to him.
Super Bowl champion.
Yeah. Makes no sense, does it?
He's a
Especially
statue.
when you
As a
suck.
statue.
If you're going out throwing up freaking Pro Bowl numbers, blah, blah, I can see maybe you put your chest out a little bit. But when you suck and a Super Bowl champion is trying to help you, why would you pretend like it's not even worth your ears?
I think you have to take all of those things with a grain of salt. However, it's not the first time we've heard that kind of thing.
Well, and Foles said it himself.
And the
I
Bears
don't,
wouldn't have given him up for a 6th-round pick
yeah.
if
So there,
he
I
was
think
going to
there
be a
was a lot
great
more
back.
than this. I think from a talent stand wise, he still could be a top 10 guy, but physically he never will, or mentally, emotionally, he never will be because he's just an ass.
Yeah,
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
100%.
And the next time I have to read another thing, one of these pundits again, experts talking about how Caleb Williams is the god who walked his man. Please just
Oh,
shut up until he plays 4 or 5 games.
gosh.
I just can't stand it.
Unless it's Charles McDonald. Give him a big old thumbs up.
Yeah, that's your boy.
Oh, all right, buddy. Anything else from you?
No, pretty good here.
Folks, thank y'all for listening. Get Your Bell Rung Football Podcast. We are on Facebook and Spotify and YouTube. Are we going to be able to make it back in a week, Kevin?
I'm going to do my best because all of this stuff's over. But like I said, we've got to find a good time to make this happen because my schedule only gets nuttier.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Not
Be all right.
nuttier, but longer.
My favorite part about this whole podcast is if you're watching on the video, he did not change his name from Bob W.
No, I didn't. I didn't even think about it. Man, what a
Yes, my
what a
favorite.
mess that was.
All right, we'll see you guys. See you in a week, hopefully.
Thanos.
Idiot.
See ya.